Hey, greetings everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, gubernatorial candidate for the Republican nomination here in the state of Texas. I wanted to take some time and break out the old whiteboard and have a little chalk talk with you because I think that we really need to understand what we're up against here in the United States of America right now. I've talked about it before, and the left really got upset about it because they hate it when you call them out. But we're in an ideological war. We're in a battlefield. We have a conflagration, a conflict, a confrontation that's going on that really is not about Republican and Democrat. It's about two different philosophies of governance that we need to understand, and we need to realize how they impact us. First and foremost, we need to understand one single thing, that those two philosophies of government are, let me open up this big old thing here. First and foremost, Progressivism, Socialism, or Marxism, statism, that's one of Mark Levin's great words, and eventually it can become communism. Now, the thing I want you to understand about socialism is an economic model. And what do I mean by an economic model? Socialism is based upon socioeconomic differences and trying to, I guess, get all of us to be exactly the same. And so in an economic model, here are the tenets of socialism. And so let's take this red and bring it down. The first tenet of socialism is wealth redistribution. And you hear that all the time. You know, people got to pay their fair share. But when was the last time Al Sharpton paid his fair share? I think he still owes millions of dollars. But you hear about this wealth redistribution. And what this whole climate change thing is really about, it's about a massive wealth redistribution on a global scale from certain countries in the Western world over to other countries. But yet really the people that are the biggest violators of climate change are China and India. But no one is talking about them. It's just us bad people here in the United States of America. The next tenet after wealth redistribution is to nationalize economic production. That means bringing everything in our economy under government control. And where did we see that last? We saw that with the oil and gas industry in Venezuela. Venezuela was once one of the most prosperous nations in this hemisphere. And now look at what has happened in Venezuela. Because number one, Hugo Chavez talked about wealth redistribution. Number two, he talked about nationalizing economic production, the exact same thing we have happening here. How can you, by executive order, shut down private sector pipelines in the oil and gas industry? That's not what America's all about. The next thing is a welfare state. It's this creation and sustainment of a welfare nanny state. I call it the dependency society. And who would have ever thought here in the United States of America that we have a federal government competing with the private sector and paying people to stay home? See, that's how you backdoor your way into getting this living wage, this $15 living wage, because if you break down the numbers and look and see, the federal government is paying people to stay at home at a very comparable rate to that $15 minimum wage. And so therefore what has to happen in the private sector, if they want to have people that they can hire, they've got to up their wages, which means that has a detrimental effect on their businesses. But that's what you want. You want to have that welfare nanny state, people dependent upon you. And I think that's also why we see all of these illegal immigrants. They're being allowed into the United States of America, potentially 2 million by the end of this year. And why would the federal government be talking about giving $450,000 to people that broke our laws to come here illegally? And oh, by the way, if you really want to know about quote unquote separating families, it's so important that you verify that they are a family unit in the first place, because a lot of these children are being recycled to bring adults into the United States of America. But now we're going to give them six-figure incomes. Next thing is what I call social egalitarianism. And what the left calls that is equity, because everybody's equal. It's like a big culture of the participation trophy. But see, there's no valedictorians, there's no salutatorians, everybody's equal. And see, the big difference in understanding what social egalitarianism means to the socialist economic model is that this means equality of outcomes. See, the leftists determine where you can go and what you can do. See, that's why the left hates black conservatives. I mean, look at Winsome Sears, an incredible story, but they don't recognize her. Or myself, born in 1961 in a blacks-only hospital, but yet I'm the bad one, I'm the evil one. I'm the black face of white supremacy. Because leftism is all about seeing people as a collective. That's what this socialist economic model does. That's the root of Marxism. And that, if we're not careful, then it leads us to this societal model, which is communism, because we make everybody equal. And what's the last thing? We got wealth redistribution, nationalizing economic production, the welfare state, social egalitarianism, and then secular humanism. And why is secular humanism so important in the United States of America when you look at this leftist model? Because the Declaration of Independence said that you're endowed by your Creator God with your inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Going back to John Locke, his natural rights theory of life, liberty, and property. So if we remove the Creator God, the Judeo-Christian God, from the marketplace and supplant God with the big G with government with the little g, that's the goal of secular humanism. That's why 20 years ago, guess what happened? Everyone after 9/11 were flocking to churches. But last year, going into this COVID issue, what was the first thing that the left tried to shut down? Churches. So this here is what we're up against. This belief that government is supreme, government is all powerful, government can tell you what has to be injected into your body. Oh, by the way, those folks that they're bringing across illegally, they don't have to get anything injected into their body. Just you all. What this means here is that you are no longer a citizen, you become a serf. That's the progressive socialist Marxist statist communist way. That's the leftist way. Now, what is the competitor to that? Well, it's very simple. It's the fundamental of the United States of America, which is constitutional conservatism. Now, when I talk about constitutional conservatism, that's really classical liberalism, okay? Because classical liberalism came from the father of classical liberalism, who is John Locke, the English political philosopher. Second Treatise of Government, 1689. From John Locke, we got natural rights theory, not divine rights theory, which comes back over here. A king, a queen, duke, duchess, prince, or princess, they're the ones that determine your buy or your leave. Or your feudal lord who says that this is what you must do. And you're just a subject, you're just a serf. Here, because of what John Locke put forward, natural rights theory, all of our rights come from a creator God. And what I want you to get to understand that this is not about Republican or Democrat. It's about how do we see the relationship of government to the individual. That's what the United States of America was founded upon, the consent of the government. And so that balanced relationship that said that the individual was sovereign, supreme over the institution of government is transitioning. And it's transitioning because that's what these people believe. They believe the government is sovereign and supreme. Over here, constitutional conservatives, real classical liberals, the people that understand John Locke, and that's who Thomas Jefferson read when he created the Declaration of Independence, establishing the United States of America. Not 1619, which is what these guys think, because they have to keep you in a slave mentality, because it's all about the collective and keeping you down, which is really why we have this critical race theory, cultural competency action plan, cultural Marxism, to divide and separate us, not just on socioeconomic basis, but on racial basis now. But here, constitutional conservatism, the true right and understanding of the relationship of the individual to the institution of government. What's the very first thing about constitutional conservatism? First thing about constitutional conservatism is our Judeo-Christian faith. That heritage, the Judeo-Christian faith heritage, is foundational, fundamental in understanding these United States of America, because your inalienable rights come from the Creator God. That's unlike any other nation was established with that type of premise. But if you supplant Creator God, big G, government, little g, then you upset that balance, that right and proper relationship between the government and the individual. Think about it. Salvation in the Judeo-Christian faith heritage, it's an individual thing. We can't come together as a collective and pray each other into heaven. And that's the basis of it. And think about that faith that enabled this little ragtag bunch of 13 colonies to come together, form 13 states, these United States of America, and take on the greatest power that the world knew at that time. That's why the Judeo-Christian faith heritage is so important. The second thing is family. The strength of families. That is the core element in this civilized society, in this constitutional republic that we have here. But yet these folks on this side want to destroy the traditional nuclear family. As a matter of fact, you look at their policies. When I was born, even though I was born in 1961 in a blacks only hospital, two-parent household in the black community is between 75 to 77%. Today, you know what it is? %. Thanks to these guys and the philosophies and the Great Society programs of Lyndon Baines Johnson. They decimated the family. We want to promote the family over here. And that's why you see so many people starting to wake up in the black community and the Hispanic community, the minority communities, understanding how important this is as a fundamental. The next thing is individual liberty, freedom, and rights. Who would have ever thought that we would live in the United States of America where a president, you know, maybe we should call him resident, Joe Biden, would stand up and say, during the debacle in Afghanistan, this is not about your freedom. And then he went on to say that I am mandating that you must get a jab in the arm. Not the folks that they're bringing over here illegally, but you must get a jab in the arm. That takes away so much of your freedom if you can't control your body. See, government here, little g, they want to control your body. Over here, you have the freedom to do that. When you have someone that calls himself a president of these United States of America, he says that no amendment to the Constitution is absolute, then the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, your individual Bill of Rights, he does not believe that those are absolute. That's how you lose this incredible nation. That's why I say we're in a philosophical war, an ideological battle between constitutional conservatism and progressive socialism. What's the next thing? We believe in a quality education, because a quality education leads itself to what? Equality of opportunity. Equality of opportunity by way of a quality education means a kid born in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia, can be standing here, a former lieutenant colonel in the United States Army, commanded 600 troops in combat, former member of the United States House of Representatives, former chairman of the largest state Republican Party in the country, now running for governor in the largest Republican state in the country. That's the quality of opportunity. These guys believe in the quality of outcomes, telling me where I can go and what I can do based upon my skin color or based upon where I came from. That's not America. The other thing that we love is our free market system. Our free market economic system, that sense of rugged individual entrepreneurship and individualism, that's what we promote. We don't promote this nationalizing of economic production. We promote the free exchange of ideas, individuals being able to go out and try and succeed and take risks and be rewarded for those risks. That's what built this incredible nation in 246 years, a nation unlike any other. That's the important thing to realize. And then the last thing is our national security. America is a sovereign nation. And we, within America, are sovereign states. So while these people here believe that we should have open borders and that America is just a piece of land in between Mexico and Canada, we believe that we have national interests. We believe that we have a country that must be protected. And that's why we have a clear choice to make. Now, there are people that say that they're Republicans, but they're still progressives because they believe in the preeminence of the government. Not saying that they are socialists or Marxists or statists. Well, maybe they're a little bit of statists because they believe in the preeminence of government. There are Democrats that believe in some of these constitutional conservative principles. But the thing is that what we must come to understand is, where do you fall on the spectrum of understanding? Remember that you must think about that relationship between the government and you. Our founding documents say that it is you that is most important. It is you that is sovereign and supreme. But yet we have people that are believing that when it comes to education, we can't even get school choice passed here in the state of Texas. And we have Republican leadership here. That's what I mean by understanding the relationship, not so much the party. But we have people on this side, on the issue of education, that says parents don't have a right to make a decision or be involved in what their kids are being taught. So you've got to do your due diligence. You've got to sit down and understand where you fall in respect to these two competing philosophies of governance. Wherever this philosophy of governance has reared its ugly head, it has never been any success. But when you look at this philosophy of governance, it has always led to success and prosperity. Your choice is to decide where do you fall when it comes to understanding the relationship between the individual and the institution of government. And I believe that more Americans, more Texans, are going to be making the right decision coming up in November 2020 and going forward. If we don't make the right decision, then as Benjamin Franklin once said, we have a republic, a constitutional republic, if we can keep it. And the two most important things in a republic are individuals' rights, freedoms, and liberties, and the rule of law. And if we cast those things aside, then the future may not be so bright for the greatest nation and the greatest state in the greatest nation that the world has ever known. God bless you all. Thank you.